Hello students, welcome to this session. I have just solved JEE Main Test 85 and here's the analysis of the physics part. The paper I think is of the medium difficulty level and the difficulty is somewhat higher because I can rate only 4 as easy. Rest are medium 17 questions and 4 are tough. So because there are no lollipop questions, not very direct questions, so it is not going to be that easy. So again I say for any student doing good enough in physics, let's say assume 10 and 4 14 questions it can make out, so let's say 50 marks he should get, and the students who are good, who prepare at advanced level, they should get 75 80 plus easily in this paper. But again, it's not that very easy. If you're not studied very hard, scoring 50 won't be that easy in this paper for sure. Now question number 1, which among the following expression is the correct for magnetic field at the center of nucleus in a hydrogen atom because of the circular motion of the electron? Assume atom is in ground state and the expressions are given in terms of the fundamental constant. So for such question I'll advise just remember these expressions. The radius of nth orbit in any Bohr model atom, we typically write it as n square by z into a naught, and a naught value remember is h square epsilon naught upon pi me square. Remember it in this form. Velocity in nth orbit we say is z by n into c by 137, and more fundamental constant, it is e square upon 2 epsilon naught h. That is what you remember. And also remember energy, not needed here, but I'll advise remember it, it is minus of z square by n square into m e to the power 4 upon 8 epsilon naught square h square. So remember these. Now we know this magnetic field because of this ring current carrying ring is mu naught I by 2r, and here I is what you will say as E by T or E into F, and F is what you say is V upon 2 pi r upon 2r. So what you get? Mu naught E V upon 4 pi r square. Now substitute the values that I have written. Because it is ground state, n is 1, z is 1, because it is hydrogen. So mu naught E V, V is what we have written, it is E square upon 2 epsilon naught h, 4 pi r square, what you will have, h to the power 4 epsilon naught square pi m square e to the power 4. So do this now, this pi goes, so what we are left with, this would be pi square also, okay, so I have to square it, so 1 pi will go up, mu naught 2, 3, 3 and 4, 7, mu naught e to the power 7, so mu naught e to the power 7, then we have pi, and then we will have this m square thing, okay, upon what would be left here. So 2 4s are, we will be left with 8, and we will have epsilon naught cube, and we will have h to the power 5 here. So going by this, the option A is the most appropriate one which we are going to get here. So just remember them in fundamental constant, that will help you. Now next one. Particle of masses m, 2m, 3m and m are placed at the same line at a distance L, 2L, 3L and NL from O. The distance of the CM from O is, okay. So what you will write, xCM, we will say m1 x1, that is m into L plus 2m into 2L plus 3m into 3L and so on plus nm into NL upon m plus 2m plus 3m till nm, sorry. So what you will have, in the lower side you have the sum of the n natural numbers, that is sigma n, you know, is equal to n plus 1 by 2, LL will cancel, and above what you are going to have, it is m, sorry, m I am going to cancel, L will be there above, and above you will get is L square plus 4L square plus 9L square, that is the sum of the natural squares. So natural square sum, you know, is n plus 1, 2n plus 1 upon 6, this upon n plus 1 upon 2. So what you are left with, you are left with 2n plus 1, and L is also there, 2n plus 1 L by 3. The simple series question for you, you all can do this. This is option number D that we will go for. Next, AB is a light rod, rigid rod, which is rotating about a vertical axis through the end A. A spring of force constant K and natural length L is attached at A, and its other end is attached to a small bead of mass M. Bead can slide without friction at the initial moment B is at rest and spring is unstretched. The maximum speed of the bead with respect to the rod during the course of the motion is. So maximum speed of the bead, now since we have to check with respect to rod, it's better to go in frame of rod. and in frame of rod I can say velocity is maximum and acceleration is going to be 0. So what I can make, let's say it is stretched by some distance, so what we will have, this will become L naught plus x or L plus x, and this pseudo force acting would be m omega square x, and it would be balanced by spring force. So kx must be equals to, sorry, it should be x plus L naught, that is the radius, m omega square L naught plus x. So this x comes out as m omega square L naught upon k minus m omega square, you can directly say. Now applying work energy theorem, W net is equal to delta k. So work done by the spring force is minus half kx square, you know, and by this force, this force is going to vary, that we will calculate by integration m omega square x plus L naught into dx, and this x will vary from 0 to x, that would be equal to half m this v max square, that is the expression we will get. So integrating it, we can write this half m v max square, this is minus half kx square plus m omega square is common, so x integration will give us x square by 2, this will give us L naught into x. So putting the value of the x here, that is what we will get, or putting the value of what I can write, put it kx as m omega square x, that would be better, half, I can write it as m omega square L naught plus x into x, plus it will become m omega square x square plus 2 L naught x by 2. I have taken this as 2, to 2 will be cancelled here, so m and 2 I think will be cancelled, 2 m goes. So v max square, now what would be first the positive term, it is omega square x square plus 2 omega square L naught into x. Okay, I have to get that x also, I'll try, minus omega square L naught x minus omega square x square, that is what we are getting. So doing this simplification, what we will get, and this is omega square x. Okay, and there should be some dimensional issue, I suppose, omega square x square. Okay, so this is cancelled out. Okay, so that is what I was saying, there is no dimension issue, this get cancelled, this becomes omega square L naught x, x is m omega square L naught upon k minus m omega square. So this is v max square. Now you can make it out what option you are looking for. This would be, if I do v max is m omega to the power 4 L square, yes, k minus m omega square. So what we are seeing, this option B is the most appropriate one, we will go for it. Next, in the circuit shown in figure, R3 is a variable resistance, whereas R3, okay, as the value of R3 is changed, current I through the cell varies as shown. Obviously the variation is asymptotic, that is I approaches 6 as R3 approaches infinity, resistance R1 and R2 are. When R3 approaches infinity, no current will go in it, and simply this will be the single loop. So when this is a single loop, that means you can directly say, what we can say, 36 upon R1 plus R2 plus R2, that is R1 plus 2 R2 is equal to 6. So we have R1 plus 2 R2 equal to 6, that is the first thing we have. So R1 plus 2 R2 is equal to 6 ampere for sure, that is the first thing. So R1 plus 2 R2 is 6, and if I check these options, I can see only C is correct, so go by it. Otherwise you can check when R3 is 0, this is short circuited and that upper loop will be only effective, then in that case 36 upon R1 plus R3, because R1 plus R2, sorry, R3 is 0, that is equal to 9, so R1 plus R2 from there equals to 4. So from these two equations you can solve, let's say subtract them out, you will get R2 equals to 2 and similarly R1 equals to 2 ohm. So this is the answer you can go for. This is question number 4. Next one, in a uniform magnetic field of induction B, a wire in the form of semicircle of radius r rotates about the diameter of the circle with angular frequency omega. If the total resistances are the mean power generated per period of rotation. Now this is a very interesting question. In a uniform field, wire in the form of semicircle of radius r rotates about the diameter of the circle, let's say like this, with angular frequency omega. This is rotating like this, and let's say we have this magnetic field, it is given, no, it is not given where is the field, so let's assume the field is like this. So the field is like this. If the total resistances are the mean power generated is, so first of all what we can say, at any instant we can write the flux at when it is at angle theta would be B into pi r square by 2 into what we say, right, B into A, that is B into pi r square by 2. So flux is like into cos theta, and if theta would be the angle. So if whatever we do, E is minus d phi by dt, that would be equal to b pi r square by 2 cos theta. Integration will give us minus sign, so that will become sin theta omega t basically. So sin omega t and omega will come out like that, because theta can be written as omega t. Okay, so this is what this is a sinusoidal. So what we can have, Emax is coming out as b omega pi r square by 2. This is the radius I am talking about. That resistance will be somewhat all. So better I write it as small r, otherwise it will create some confusion in the end. So let's say it is r square, and let me write it as r square. Now, so this is Emax. So ERMS you can directly go for is b omega pi r square by root 2. So the mean power, average power you can directly write as IRMS square into r, या ERMS square by r. So IRMS would be b omega pi r square by root 2 r whole square into r. So now you can do this. This would be p omega pi r square omega whole square into 2. What we'll have 2r. So it 2r will be what we will get now. Okay, this was 2. I was wrong. This is 2 root 2. It's good that I am realized it. 2 root 2, that would be 8r. So not the a1, it would be the d1. Be careful, that is e by root 2. So 2 root 2 will be coming. Next. An insulating solid sphere of radius r is charged in a non-uniform manner such that the charge density is a by r. If a is a positive constant, r is the distance, the potential difference between the center and the surface of the sphere is going to be what it is going to be. Okay, potential difference we have to find it out. So first of all, find out the variation of it. So for finding the field, what I can say, this is spherical symmetric. So let's say first at any distance r, if I have to find out the field, from the Gauss law I can say E into 4 pi r square would be equal to q by epsilon naught. What is q enclosed? For q enclosed I have to do the integration. Let's say go at any distance x and take a small strip of dx. So what I can write, density will be constant, a by x into 4 pi x square dx. That integration I have to do from 0 to r. So this is 4 pi a x dx, so it comes out as r square by 2. So put it here, so you will see that electric field comes out as constant, and such question you might have done before also. So that is 4 pi a r square by 2 upon epsilon naught. This r square goes, 4 pi goes, so E comes out as a upon 2 epsilon, because the field is constant in magnitude. Don't say it is constant field, constant in magnitude. So directly potential difference would be what we have, E into r we can write, that is a upon 2 epsilon naught, that multiplied by the gap, that is going to be ar by 2 epsilon naught. Go for option D. Next, assuming the sun to be a spherical body of radius r at a temperature T, evaluate the total radiant power incident on earth at a distance r from the sun. So first of all, total energy radiated by sun we can say would be equal to sigma into what we say area of sun we can say is 4 pi r square into t to the power 4. Now because earth is at a distance r, so this is the sun and this is the distance r here. So first of all, what we do, the power incident here, or we can say what is the intensity, sorry, not the power, the intensity at this point would be h of sun upon 4 pi r square. So it comes out as sigma r square t to the power 4 upon r square. Now what is the power incident on the earth? So I can say, if I take earth to be very small, the maximum area that could be facing it would be this half one. So that multiplied by what basically what not exactly half one, but it's also curved. So the projection of it would be the, let's say this circle, that is the maximum area that we can say effectively is normal to that, and that area would be pi into radius of earth square. So the power received by earth would be sigma r square t to the power 4 upon r square into pi radius of earth. What is the radius of earth? We are given, yes, pi r naught square. So this is what we are going to get. So going by these options, look at it, which one is correct? Only the B one is correct. Next. So just remember this thing, you don't take it 2 pi r square, you have to just take its projection. You must have done such question when electric field comes like that, the flux would only be into pi r square, not 2 pi r square. Next, in the given process of an ideal gas, dW is 0, that is the work done is 0, and dQ is negative. Then, so we know first law in differential form says dQ is du plus dW. This is 0, this is negative, that means this is also negative. So temperature is definitely going to decrease, that is option A you can go for. Horizontal metallic rod mass m length L is supported by two vertical identical spring of spring constant K, each natural length L naught. Current I is flowing in the rod in the direction shown. What is the direction shown? I can't see. Okay. If the rod is in equilibrium, then the length of each spring in this state is. So now it is, I don't know what it is, but and I am supposing, let's say it would be like this. So it would be going upwards. That is my assumption, assuming the current is given like this, though it is not given in the picture. So if it is like this, the force due to the magnetic field is BIL and the force due to the gravity is mg. So now the length of each spring in this state is going to be, what would be, because we have talked about the extension, so that force would be greater. So what I can say, they will be extended, so the force is going to be 2kx, kx, kx. 2kx, x is the extension, that would be equal to BIL minus mg. That you can say is, okay, not extension, if I take BIL to be upwards, okay, so mg is if BIL is greater, mg is smaller, then that it means they will be extended, yes, so the force would be downwards. So I was right. So 2kx was equal to BIL minus mg. So the x extension would be BIL minus mg by 2k, that is what we are getting, and the length would be this plus L naught. So the option that I'll go for is B. So question looked tough, but it is not tough. Next one, a large heavy box is sliding without friction down a smooth plane of theta from a point P on the bottom of the box. A particle is projected inside the box. The initial speed with respect to the box is u and the direction of projection makes an alpha with the bottom. Find the distance along the bottom of the box between the point P and the Q where the particle lands. Okay, so where it lands. So first of all, look in the frame of this box. Look in the frame of this box, because that is what we are going to see. So in the frame of the box, it is sliding without friction down a smooth plane of inclination theta. So first of all, acceleration of this particle with respect to box would be only g cos theta along, let's say this is x axis and this is y axis, it would be only g cos theta along y. It won't have any acceleration along x, because that g sin theta is same for both, so acceleration is only along y. So it is like our normal projectile. So time of flight directly you can say would be equal to 2u sin alpha upon g cos theta, I can directly say, and range I can write as ux into t, because that velocity is going to remain constant, so that would be equal to u cos alpha into t. So take x upwards, that would be better, or take down, though it doesn't matter. U cos alpha into t, that is 2u sin alpha upon g cos theta. So what we will have, u square sin 2 alpha, effectively g becomes g cos theta, nothing else. So going by this, the option that we will be getting is option D. You can go for it. Next, the friction coefficient between the board and the floor shown in diagram is mu. Find the maximum force that the man can exert on the rope so that the board does not slip. Okay, so why will the box slip? Because it is pulling it with force F. So this generates some tension here, so that tension would be equal to force. So this force is pulling it here, and if I can draw the FBD of the complete this two system, I am taking men plus board. So one would be the normal from ground, and the combined weight is m plus mg, and this force, because it is pulling it down, it will be stretching it up, and because of this tendency the friction would be coming like this. So first of all, for vertical equilibrium, F plus normal from ground is equal to total weight m plus mg. So normal from ground is m plus mg minus F. Now for balance, Fs should be equal to F, that means F should be less than or equal to Fs max, which is mu s n. So in limiting case, that F max is mu s n, n is what you will have, m plus mg minus F, let's say this will also be max. So what we will have, F max 1 plus mu s is equal to mu s into m plus mg. So what we have left with F max would be mu s m plus mg upon 1 plus mu, that you can go for option B here. That is the answer that you will tick. Next, a particle at the end of a spring executes SHM with period t1 while corresponding for another ST2 when they are put in series. That's an easy one that you remember. What happens in series, 1 upon k series is 1 upon k1 plus 1 upon k2, and time period result, you know, time period is 2 pi root of m by k. So what I can write, So 1 by k can be written as T square upon 4 pi square m. So what I can say, T square upon 4 pi square m would be equal to T1 square upon 4 pi square m plus T2 square upon 4 pi square m, because mass is same. This goes, this goes, this goes. You will have this answer B. And in parallel, you have 1 upon Ts square is 1 upon T1 square plus 1 upon T2 square. This is a very general concept, came in exam many times. Photocell is illuminated by a small bright source placed a meter away. When the same source is placed half meter away, that means distance is reduced to half, so intensity will become 4 times. So intensity becomes 4 times, so current will also become 4 times while the K max remains the same. So it will increase by a factor of 4. That's an easy one for you. Go for option D. Next, beam of light consisting of red, green, blue is incident on a right angled prism. The refractive index for these three are given like this. So this is 45 degree, all will strike it at 45 degree. So first of all, I have to check what is sin theta c, that is equal to 1 by n. So if sin 45 degree is greater than this 1 by n, it will be TIR. So it should be greater than 1 by n. Sin 45 is 1 by root 2 is greater than n, or you can say is 1 by n, or you can directly say n should be greater than root 2 for TIR. So for TIR, these two will be TIR, green and blue will remain here and red will escape. So it will separate the red part from the green and blue color. Again, it's a very common question seen in almost all books. Next, a rod of mass m, length L, hinged at one end and free to rotate in the horizontal plane. All the surfaces are smooth. A particle of same mass m collides with the rod perpendicular to the rod with a speed v0 if substitution coefficient is half. If hinge reaction during the collision is 0, then the value of x is. And now this is a very interesting one. First of all, applying angular momentum conservation about this hinge, because no external torque acts about it. What I can say, mv0x would be equal to, let's say, mv1x, that's final velocity, plus what we can say, I omega. I would be same mass ml square by 3 into omega. This is the first equation. So v0x is v1x plus L square omega by 3. This is the first equation you will see. Next, now this coefficient of restitution is half, so what we can directly make it out, coefficient of restitution is half. That means the final separation velocity of this point velocity is omega x minus v1, that would be equals to half times v0. That is what we can write here. So what we will have, omega x, so v1 plus v0 by 2 is equal to omega x. This is the second equation. Now what we are searching for, we are searching for the value of x. Now there are three unknowns, v1, omega and x. So third equation I'll use using this. Reaction is 0, that means angular momentum conservation can also be applied with respect to what I can say, with respect to, you can say, with respect to cm, you can say, with respect to cm you can make it out. So that would be what I can write. Initial angular moment and linear momentum is mv0, final would be mv1, plus for cm speed will become omega L by 2. So this is your third equation. So this goes. So v0 is v1 plus omega L by 2. So these are the three equations that you have got. Now you have to search for the value of x. So how you will search for the value of x, you need to find out. So what we will do now, we need to simplify these. So what we will do, let me put it from here. If I do this, put the value of v1 here, v1, okay, it is not going to be that easy because we have to solve three variables. But if you carefully analyze from this, what I can write v0 minus v1 is equal to omega square L by 3x. So put it here also. From here what you have, v0 minus v1 is omega L by 2. So equating it, omega L by 2 equals omega L square, not omega square, I written it wrong. It is omega L square by 3x. So what we have, x comes out as 2L by 3. So this is coming out as option C in this particular case. So you have to use these three equations here. Next, a particular semiconductor in equilibrium has this donor, this acceptor atom. So both are given. If the intrinsic carrier concentration is 10 to the power 12, the electron density in it will be. Now this is going to be very interesting. So what we have now, equilibrium has this many donor, this many acceptor atoms. So first of all, whatever happens, I know Ne into NH has to be equal to Ni square, that is for sure. Generally such type of doping is seldom seen, but I will go for it because it is dominating one. I'll take NH to be approximately 10 to the power 17 into 1.1 like this, so that Ne remaining would be Ni square, that is 10 to the power 24 upon 10 to the power 17 into 1.1, that would be approximately of the order of 10 to the power 7. So options are far away, so I'll clearly go for option D here. But I don't understand why this has this much donor atom, so it's tough to say. Or you can say, in that case, you can say the effective acceptor would be difference of these two. So difference of these two will again be of the order of 10 to the power 17, so no difference. So by order calculation, I can go for 10 to the power 7. You can directly see this. Next, the dependency of speed of water surface waves on the density of water, wavelength and surface tension is, this is the question that is being generally asked in class 11th units and dimension topic also. So what we can say, you have to take the speed dependency, let's say it is rho to the power a, lambda to the power b, surface tension to the power c. So one way is that a standard way, equate the everything solving the dimensions. Other is some intelligent way. The density that you can write is ml minus 3 to the power a, and that is the same way I am also doing. Lambda is L to the power b. Surface tension is what you say, force per unit length, that dimension is mt minus 2, and this v dimension you know is lt minus 1. So what you have to cancel m, so these should be opposite, a and c should be opposite. So if one is plus half, the other would be minus half something. So lambda and gamma, rho and gamma, so rho and gamma should be opposite, and it is in everyone it is opposite. Okay, and you need to have L, so L you need to have L. So this would be, if I go by this logics, first of all let me solve it, that would be more better, no point in guessing. So first what I get, a plus c would be equal to 0, L coefficient would be minus 3a plus b equal to 1, and what we have, minus 2c is equal to 1. So c comes out as minus half, a comes out as plus half, and now you have got the answer. So the b will come out as, this would be 1 minus half. So only a is plus half, that is rho will be above and rest 2 would be downward. So option B will be the answer. Next one. The ratio of intensities in consecutive maxima in a diffraction pattern due to a single slit is, again this is typically not being asked, but if it is asked, this is this answer, because typical answer is I naught, I is I naught sine alpha by alpha whole square, which generally we don't use at our level, but we are left with no option here. So for the consecutive maxima you can go for, first is sine 0, so by 0 you will do, that would be exact 1, then you will do sine of 3 pi by 2 upon 3 pi by 2, so that will be 2 by 3 pi, because sine alpha is maximum at 0, then at 3 pi by 2 here, and then 5 pi by 2 here. Why I have not taken this pi by 2 thing, because I have not taken this pi by 2 thing because that will be inside the central maxima, width of central maxima is double. So if you do this, this would be 1 upon 2 by 3 pi ka whole square into 2 by 5 pi ka whole square, so that would be option D here. Next one, you have a string of length 1.5 meter with two ends clamped is vibrating in fundamental mode. The amplitude at the center of the string is 4 mm. The minimum distance between the 2 points having amplitude of 2 mm is, okay, vibrating in the fundamental mode and amplitude at the center is 4, that is the antinode is 4. So the expression can be written as 4 mm sine of what we write as sine kx. K we will write sine because initially the two ends are both are clamped. K would be what I can say 2 pi by lambda, and here what we will say lambda by 2 would be equal to L because it would be single loop, so lambda is 2L 3. So 2 pi by 3 into x, that would be the expression for amplitude into whatever we have sine or cos omega t, that doesn't matter. So this is the amplitude. So the 2 points having amplitude of 2 mm, so for 2 mm this value should be equal to half. So 2 pi by 3 into x either is equal to pi by 3 pi by 6 or 5 pi by 6. So I can take the difference, 2 pi by 3 into delta x, that difference would be equal to 2 pi by 3. So this goes, so delta x is 1 meter, that is directly you can go from here. So option A is going to be the answer. Now last straight objective, the potential energy of the 1 kg particle free to move is given by this, the total mechanical energy is 2, then the maximum speed. Just remember here minimum value of potential energy is not 0, what it would be? You can find out this u minimum. So first of all, expression for u is x to the power 4 by 4 minus x square by 2. So this is basically a quadratic type thing, so its minimum thing, you can directly say du by dx is 0. Find the extremum points, you will get x cube minus x equal to 0. So x into x square minus 1 is equal to 0. So x equal to 0, x equal to 1, x equal to minus 1. So check it all the points. At 0 it is 0, at 1 it would be minus 1 by 2 joules, and at minus 1 again it would be equals to minus 1 by 2 joules. So the minimum energy that is coming is minus half joule. So what we can say, K max would be, in that case, would be 2 plus half, that is 3 by 2 joules. So that is going to be 1 by 4, I am doing a mistake, it would be 1 by 4. So K max would be 9 by 4. So K max is going to be 9 by 4 joules. So half into 1 into V max square is 9 by 4. So V max square is 9 by 2. So that is 3 by root 2. You can directly go for. Actually, I remember this 1 by 4 because this question is being done. It is given in my question sheet also, which my students do. Next. The length of a magnet is large compared to width and breadth. Time period in magnetometer is 150 millisecond. It is cut along its length into 3 equal parts, and they are placed on each other with their like poles together. The time period of the combination will be. Now this is a confusing one. Cut along its length. Cut along its length, that means here it is talking about like this. As per this, generally parallel to length mean it would be like this, but here it would be like this. So if you cut it into 1 by 3 length, you know the time period becomes t by 3, and if you put it like this, it doesn't matter because even cutting like this doesn't changes. So the time period would be t by 3 in this case, that is 50 millisecond. If it was cut like this and then placed, then it would be the same one, so no issue. So that means it was cut like that. So each part is 1/3 of the original length, so time period becomes t by 3. The reason is each part becomes 1 by 3, magnetic moment will become mu naught by 3, and because length becomes L by 3, moment of inertia, mass is 1/3, length is 1/3, so ml square proportionality will become mu naught by 27. So if you do that, 2 pi under root I by mu b, it would have 1 by root 9, so it becomes 1 by 3. That you remember this thing. The standard thing you do in magnetism chapter. Satellite is launched into a circular orbit r by 4 above the surface of the earth. The time period of revolution is this. So what we have, we can directly say t square is 4 pi square gm by r cube. So r cube would be 5r by 4 whole cube. So it is 4 pi square gm, it is 125 r cube upon 64. That is what we are getting. So this what we will get, if I take the root, this will become 2 pi, and if I take everything here, it is 125 r cube upon 64 g square m square. I can write, why g square m square, it is gm, sorry. And what we can say, gm by r square is small g, so 2 pi under root of what we are having, 125 by 64, and I can write it as r by g. And 125 by 64, what I can say, 125 by 64, I can directly make it out, that would be equal to 5 cube upon 4 cube, so that would be 2 pi, 5 cube upon 4 cube, so 5 upon 4 to the power 3 by 2 into root of r by g. So this value of n, you can directly say is 5 by 4. 5 by 4 is 1.25. Next one. This is the IIT question repeated. I can make it out from the diagram. To determine the half-life of a radioactive element, a student plots dn by dt versus t, where dn by dt is the rate of radioactive decay at time t. Okay. If the number of radioactive nuclei of the element decreases by a factor of p after 4.16 years. So dn by dt is rate, that is activity. So dn by dt, you know, mod is equal to lambda times n, and lambda times n means lambda times n naught e to the power minus lambda t. So after 4.16 years, and if I take it log, so ln of dn by dt, if I take the log, it will come out as ln of lambda n naught minus lambda t. So what I can see, the slope will be equals to lambda, negative lambda, that means the magnitude of the slope is going to be lambda. So the slope, if I can make it out, if I am right, and so what I can make it out, the slope is this thing, this change is 1, this is 2, so slope is lambda, that is 1 by 2 per year. I can make it out, 1 by 2 year minus, that is I can make it out. Now if the number of radioactive nuclei decreases by a factor of p after 4.16 years, So after 4.16 here, number of nuclei decreases, so number will be n naught e to the power minus lambda t. So what we will have, n naught e to the power minus half into 4.16, that is what we have got, that is n naught e to the power 4.16 by 2. 4.16 by 2, if you do, this is 2.08, this is 2.08, what we can write. So 2.08, if I can make it out, let's say 6.693. If I do this 3 times, it would be 9, and it would be, what I can say, it would be 2.08. yes, what we are getting, this is 3 3s are okay, 6.93, 3 9s are 27, this is 2, and this is 3 6 are 18, 20, so it is 2.079. so you can take it to be, let's say, this is basically 3 half-lives that we are getting, so it will become 1/8. So directly you can say the value of P is 1/8, or you are given this e to the power minus 2.08, take it as 0.125. I was solving it, no need for it, it was given directly, so it decreases by a factor of P, that is, it becomes 1/8, so the answer would be 8. A wide cylindrical vessel 50 centimeter in height is filled with water and rests on table, assuming the viscosity to be negligible. Height from the bottom, a small hole should be perforated in the water jet coming out to hit the surface of the table at the maximum distance. You know that has to be at r/2, nothing to solve, directly 25. You know that maximum range would be when it is just in the center of that. A wire is made by attaching 2 segments together end to end. One segment is of aluminium, other is of steel. Effective coefficient of linear expansion is this. Fractional length of aluminium is this. Then the value of P plus Q. Okay, so what we can say, alpha equivalent you all know is alpha 1 L1 plus alpha 2 L2 upon L1 plus L2. So what we have, 19 in 10 to the power minus 6 is alpha 1 L1, which is alpha 1 is aluminium is 23 into 10 to the power minus 6 into L1 plus 12 into 10 to the power minus 6 upon L2, and this comes out as L1 plus L2 sorry. So this goes, so 19 times L1 plus L2 is equal to 23 L1 plus 12 L2. So what we are searching for, we are searching for the value of P by Q fraction. So the fraction would be L1 upon L1 plus L2, that's what we need to determine in this particular case. So fraction, let's say fraction you have to, let's say this fraction is P by Q. So L1 plus L2 is total length, I can say this is 19 times L total, so L1 would be P by Q times L LT, and that would be equal to 12 times 1 minus P by Q times LT. So you get this LT goes. Now P by Q, take it as X, so 19 is 23x plus 12 into 1 minus X. So this is 23x plus 12 minus 12x is 19, so take it 19 minus 12, 7. This is 11x. If I am right, yes, x is 7 by 11, so 11 plus 7, you will go for 18 in this particular case, so answer should be 18. So this was today's paper. Thanks for watching. Keep sharing it to the maximum number of aspirants you can. That is my only request. Thank you once again.